How's it going, guys? Today I'm bringing you my favorite build in Destiny 2. This build is no BS and delivers some insane damage output in terms of Nightfall boss phases and one-shotting champions. Let me introduce you to Golden Gun Reborn. Celestial Nighthawk was my first exotic in Destiny 2, and still to this day, one of my favorites in my arsenal. You will learn how to earn your super back as fast as the old energy converter method, and how to apply the most damage to your Golden Gun with the kinetic surge mods giving us a buff to Golden Gun on top of your tractor cannon and going radiant. And there is nothing stopping you from living your gunslinger fantasy with this build. Well, other than your aim, of course. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the build. While we're here, let's just take a second to recognize the drip. I think I'm pretty proud of this one. So obviously we're going to go in our solar subclass, and the first thing we want to put on is Golden Gun Marksman. This is going to do an insanely high powered damaging shot. That's insanely high powered. It's just going to do a high damage shot with our Celestial Nighthawk when we fire this. And usually you get 3, but Celestial Nighthawk gives us the 1, and stacked with like on top of a tractor cannon, radiant, and our kinetic surges, we're going to do an insane amount of damage, probably almost, I'd say, like double, so definitely be throwing this on. For our class ability, I'm running Gambler's Dodge because our melee is going to play into this build almost more than our super when it comes to getting our super back and also going radiant, and just for a lot of ad clear. I really love Knife Trick, my favorite melee, I'd say, honestly, in Destiny 2, but that's up to you guys. That's honestly your preference, but Gambler's Dodge is the way you want to go for this build at least. And going back to praising this melee, I love Knife Trick. I'd say it's better than all these. If you want to try these other ones, go ahead, but it's not going to do you as much justice as Knife Trick does. In high ad situations, this is going to get your super back the quickest, and also I just have a lot more fun with this. You're going to go Radiant more often just by spamming this. Don't spam it too quick or you're not going to get the Radiant effect. Just take out an enemy, maybe wait like a second between, and then just throw it again, and you go Radiant. Then after a while, your super will get back pretty quick just from doing this consistently with enemies. You can generate a lot of orbs, you're getting your armor charges back all the time. So this is my favorite to run on, but do whatever you guys want. The grenade's up to you. You could use Firebolt Grenade if you want to do damage over healing, but if you want to rely on just Fire Sprites for restoration with this build, I would throw on the Healing Grenade, but I would say the Firebolt Grenades aren't a bad choice either, since you can get 2 charges and also the Scorch part of it, which scorches enemies more from the artifact mods. So that's up to you. Just, do whatever your playstyle is, pretty much. For the aspects, I'm running On Your Mark. This is basically just going to give us reload and weapon speed increase when we have all 3 stacks of it from Precision Final Blows. Your class ability runs really well with Callous Mini Tool, in my opinion, so I love to run this. And you get 3 fragment slots, so definitely be throwing this on. For the second aspect, I have Knock 'em Down on. Our Marksman Golden Gun is just going to last longer, and also when we use our melee, as long as you're Radiant, you're going to get it back every time you get a kill. So that's why I said don't spam it, because there's a weird delay, or if you spam it too quick, you're not going to get the melee back. Just take your time, throw it maybe 1 second in between, and you should just be able to spam it over and over, almost to the point where you don't really have to use your weapon as long as the ads are easy to clear, and you'll have your super back in no time. For the fragments, I have Ember of Torches on. This is what's going to play into the melee, going Radiant over and over, so definitely be running this. I have Ember of Solace. Radiant Restoration effects applied. You have increased duration. I like to run this just so I have more time with Radiant when I pop up my Golden Gun. This is also going to give us more time getting our melee over and over, just in case you can't go Radiant in the moment, so I definitely like to throw this on. And also with our Healing Grenade, it's also going to give us increased duration, so that's another reason I like to run this. Our third slot, I have Ember of Ashes. I mainly run this because it does make the knife a lot better, and also if you can't kill an enemy right away with the knife, it's going to scorch the enemy over time, and if you kill the enemy with scorch, you're actually going to get that melee refunded. So I like to run this because most of the time it's going to finish off that enemy if I couldn't get it myself, and I'll get my melee back anyways. For the 4th slot, I'm running Ember of Mercy. Picking up a Fire Sprite grants restoration, and also when we revive allies, they'll get restoration too. This is going to play really well when we're getting Fire Sprites. I almost, like, if you don't want to run Healing Grenade, that's why I recommend running Fire Bolts, because you could live off this, but add the Healing Grenade just in case there's a situation where I can't get to a Fire Sprite. So I like to run this, and also you get a nice 10 resilience. And finally, for our last fragment, I have Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a Fire Sprite. If you can't get your melee back from your Gambler's Dodge, it's another way you're going to get it back. And also, you're going to be creating a Fire Sprite whenever you take out scorched enemies. If you're running an incandescent weapon and using your knives, you're going to get Fire Sprites pretty much all the time. And that's going to help you get restoration and also even grenade energy back. So if you have Healing Grenade, you're going to have that grenade back all the time. Or if you have the Firebolt grenades, you can just spam those all the time. So it's going to play really well into that. So all these, I would say, I mean, maybe you can change out Ember of Solace or something like that, or maybe even Ember of Ashes if you don't feel like you need that. But other than that, these all pair well together, so I definitely recommend running these. Your first weapon doesn't really matter. I just threw on Rose Hand Cannon because I love the Gunslinger fantasy I got going, and it actually wasn't that bad in some of the activities, but obviously there are better options, so the kinetic weapon can be whatever you desire. The second weapon, I definitely recommend something with Incandescent. Getting those Scorch kills are going to give you Fire Sprites and also your melee energy back. I definitely recommend Callous Mini Tool with Incandescent if you have that. This is a beautiful weapon. I honestly, look, level 100. I've been running this thing for a while. And finally, this is what's going to stack on top of our Golden Gun damage. This is Tractor Cannon. You're going to apply a 30% debuff to any enemy you hit with this. And this does stack with Radiant and the Kinetic Surges I'll touch on in a second here too. This is one of my favorite exotics in the game. It also knocks back enemies. If a lot of people didn't notice, I'm still working on the Catalyst. And finally, for our armor, obviously I'm running Celestial Nighthawk. This is the one that's going to let us do the one shot that's going to do extra damage and stacked with the other stuff. We're going to do like anywhere, like I'd say anywhere up to max. Like you can do almost 1 million damage with this on like enemies like Hash Ladoon and all those fucking bosses. You can pretty much one shot them. It's kind of crazy. Depends on the resilience of the boss, but some bosses in this game you can actually one shot. So add this on. The mods you want to be running are Solar Siphon and 2 Hands On. If you're running that Flame Trick Knife, this is going to get your super back so damn quick. So I love to throw this on. And the Solar Siphon, obviously, if you're running Callous Mini Tool and just shredding things, you're going to get orbs all the time. So I also had that on. For the gauntlets, I have Focusing Strike, Heavy Handed, and Impact Induction. This is basically going to give us our grenade, class ability, and orbs. Pretty much everything else that's not our melee. Even though we'll be getting our melee from defeating scorched targets, so technically we're even getting our melee back while doing this, but we're going Radiant anyways, so we're always getting my melee. It all pairs perfectly. These are the best mods I'd say to run for this, so definitely be throwing this on. For the chest armor, I'm running a Solar Damage Resistance, a Charged Up, and another Arc Damage Resistance on there too. You don't have to run the Charged Up, you can run another Damage Resistance or whatever you want, but I actually the Charged Up on, so I have an extra slot, but you could put a Void on or something if you can fit on there. On the leg armor, I'm just straight up running 3 kinetic weapon surges. I don't know if it's a bug or what's going on, but there's currently a quote-unquote bug in the game where this stacks on top of Golden Gun as long as you have an armor charge. So don't take my word on this, like a 27% increase in damage, I think, or something like that. And stack that on top of Radiant, which is like 20 or 25, and then Tractor Cannon with that's like 30. You're going to be doing almost double damage with this thing. So this is what I'd absolutely recommend. Finally, on the Hunter Cloak, I'm running a time dilation, so our kinetic surge lasts longer, and Reapers, so whenever we dodge and get a weapon kill, we're just going to get an orb back, which is going to give us an armor charge and super energy. So that's what I like to be running on the Hunter Cloak. Last thing I recommend is going in your artifact mod and putting on Solar Surge. This is going to give us a Fire Sprite whenever we pick up an armor charge. I got that reverse. It's going to give us an armor charge when we pick up a Fire Sprite, so I would definitely be throwing that on. I hope you guys absolutely enjoyed this build. This is probably my favorite thing to use in Destiny 2 at the moment. It just, you know, plays into that gunslinger fantasy. It's a lot of fun running around and just blasting bosses, champions, whatever the fuck you want, just anything in the game. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed the build, make sure you leave a like, and if you're new, possibly subscribe. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys. You know what? Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.